Hello, my name is Hannah, and let's talk Les Miserables. So, Les Miserables actually is not the first thing I'm going to talk about this week, as it is already Tuesday, but I didn't get to film Sunday or Monday because I was quite busy and pretty much kind of pushed myself to the limit in terms of like my body, so I just was not feeling up to any filming or anything like that. So, yesterday was Valentine's Day, which my husband and I actually celebrated on Saturday since Monday's obviously a work day. And I don't know if I even mentioned it at the end of last week's vlog, but he actually got me this bracelet here of a turtle for Valentine's Day. It's really cute, I love it, and I've been wearing it pretty much every day. So anyway, yesterday I actually had lunch with a new friend. She's in the local book club I'm in, and then she also introduced me to another local book club. So now I guess I'm kind of in two book clubs. But that's how I met her, and yesterday we decided to get lunch. And I didn't take like videos of anything because I don't know, I'm one of those people who feels really awkward like recording out in public. Also, it's the first time like we've done anything together, so I don't know, I just didn't want to be rude. But after the lunch, we actually went to 3 different bookshops around town and did a lot of walking. Like, I actually didn't realize how much walking we had done until all of a sudden I saw we were at the Luxembourg Gardens, and it was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I ended up paying for that because when I got home, I ended up having to take a nap because like I was just so tired and sore, but it was 100% worth it because I had a really good time and I got to learn about a new used bookshop that I didn't know about before. I literally can't even think of what the name is right now, but I know it begins with a B, and there's like 4 of them in Paris, but I didn't get any books there. But secondly, we went to the San Francisco bookshop, and there I actually got 3 used books. The first one I grabbed is The Woman Who Birthed Rabbits by Emma Donoghue. So the title is what caught my eye on this one immediately because I was like, oh my gosh, is this about the case of that woman in England? And sure enough, it is. So basically, this is a collection of short stories based on odd true stories that actually happened like in Britain. So I have kind of been on a short story kick lately. Like, I really enjoy them, and so that's why I ended up picking this one up. Next is a novella by Joyce Carol Oates called I Lock My Door Upon Myself. I grabbed this one because I've heard of this before, and the description is kind of intriguing. And I kind of checked on Goodreads, and it has really good reviews. And also, it looks like it's going to be a really quick read. Like, the font is quite large. And I don't know, sometimes I just like something that is super quick to kind of read between like bigger books or heavier topics or things like that. So that's why I grabbed this one. And then lastly, at the used bookstore, I grabbed The Little Red Phone by Henry Kane. And this one was just completely on a whim. Like, it was one of the only hard books in the section I was looking at. And the description is pretty funny, actually. Like, it's essentially about a kid's toy phone that's in the attic of this house. And one day it rings and they answer it, and it's like a ghost, essentially, telling them that their child is evil. And it's just like, what? Like, that sounds so ridiculous. So I definitely wanted to give this a try. But when I looked it up on Goodreads, there's like nothing about this. It didn't even have the description. It just said like occult horror. And there was 1 2-star rating, and that was it. Like, there wasn't even an actual review, it was just the rating. And I don't think I've ever seen that for a book on Goodreads before. And I tried just Googling it, and there's just not a lot of like reviews or anything about it. I couldn't find anything particularly about this book in particular. It's just that I guess the author wrote quite a few mystery novels, and that was more kind of his genre, where this is like horror. So I don't know, it just seems really intriguing since there just wasn't a lot of information. The only thing I really know is that this came out in 1982, I believe. And then lastly, we went to the Red Wheelbarrow bookstore, which is right by the Luxembourg Gardens, and I picked up another short story collection, which is Tales of Terror and Mystery by Arthur Conan Doyle, if I can say it properly. As most people know, he is the author of Sherlock Holmes, which I haven't read any of his work before. So that's kind of a reason why I picked this up, actually, is, I don't know, I like reading short story collections by popular authors, and I have a collection by Henry James, I believe it is, that I still need to read. I was saving it for October, and then my life kind of got turned upside down, so I didn't quite get to that. But the store had another short story collection of his, but I figured I would just get the one for now so I can see if I like his writing style and all of that. So this is one that I will probably save for October, and I'll probably read this along with the Henry James collection then. So finally, we are to Les Miserables. So I am 2 chapters into book 7, which I can't remember the title, so I'm gonna look at that real quick. So this one is book 7, called the Champmathieu Affair. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I don't really know what Champmathieu is in reference to yet, since I've just read the first 2 chapters, but it seems like Jean Valjean is getting ready to go grab Cosette himself. He just like hired a horse and carriage kind of thing, and after just being completely blown off by the Thénardiers, he's just gonna go get it done himself. Fantine is dying kind of thing. I don't think she has long to live, so I think he's just trying to give her like that final piece. These chapters weren't really descriptive. It was mainly from the point of view of the townspeople just being like, oh, like Monsieur le Maire is acting kind of weird. Like, is he under the weather? Like, what's going on? He's acting a bit different. And that's essentially just him like getting things ready to go grab Cosette. So while all of this is happening, he also found out through Javert actually that someone has been mistaken as him and is now in prison for it, and like he's gonna go on trial and everything, and he's probably like gonna be thrown away and like, or locked away and throw away the key type situation. So I had actually completely forgotten about that, and I feel like kind of dumb for forgetting that, because that's why Javert didn't say anything when he realized who he was, when he had like lifted the cart and stuff. My phone just stopped recording, so I'm not really sure where it exactly left off, but we haven't really dealt with the situation of the person who everyone thinks is Jean Valjean, so that's probably what's going to happen directly after Cosette's. So I feel like the action is really kind of gonna start picking up in these next few chapters, so that's something to look forward to. So we'll see how much I get through this week. This cat is literally snoring, and I'm so envious of how he can just sleep. Oh my goodness. Hi. What doing? What doing, Ori? Look at you. Oh my goodness. What? What? You want pet? You're very warm. You're a very warm boy. Yeah. What? What you doing? Just gonna lay down again? Oh, you have skunk butt. Look at that majestic creature. You're silly. Look at this baby boy. He's been over there snoring for a while now. I just woke him up though. So today's Thursday, which means this evening I'm going to a book swap, which I've never been to before. I'm really intrigued to see what books people bring. Hopefully someone has similar taste in books to me, because I'm just kind of scared it's going to be like all contemporary or all historical fiction kind of thing. So hopefully there's some horror thriller in there. As for Les Miserables, Torti just jumped up here and almost fell. Just trying to get down my lap. The previous chapter is actually the longest chapter I've read in here so far. It was like a dozen pages or something like that, and it was essentially like the inner turmoil. Okay, hi. The inner turmoil of Jean Valjean trying to figure out what he should do about this guy who is pretty much going to be sent to prison in his place, and he's essentially like, should I be the bad guy? Should I be the good guy? Like, if I do this, then I'm sacrificing everything I've built up. And if I do this, then I'm sacrificing, like, my soul kind of thing. So he's really just wrestling with his conscience and his guilt and everything, because then he's also like, oh, but what about Fantine and Cosette? Like, oh my god, what do I do? Do I put myself first? Do I put the people first? Blah, blah, blah. So it's literally, that is the entire chapter. You're just in his head with his thoughts kind of thing, as he just kind of dwells in this despair of trying to figure out the right thing to do. So as of right now, I don't know which direction he's gonna go. I assume he's gonna go get Cosette first, but I don't know for sure. Like, this whole part is kind of murky for me, but it looks like we'll find out in the next chapter.
This is one of my favorite ones ever. It's just so funny. It's like the funniest.
Today is Saturday, which means another end to the week, and usually this is the day where we go play D&D, but that actually just got moved to tomorrow, so today is probably going to be more of a rest day. But I just finished the latest chapter in Les Miserables, and it is a very depressing one. Pretty much shit's starting to go down, but also Fantine is closer to death, and I actually want to read the beginning of this one paragraph because it pretty much sums up this entire chapter quite well. It says, when a few months previously Fantine had put aside the last shreds of her modesty, her shame, and her happiness, she had been the shadow of her former self, but now she was its ghost. So Monsieur Madeleine, aka Jean Valjean, has left the town, and Fantine is under the impression that it's to go get Cosette, when actually he's going to Arras, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that town name correctly, to basically free the guy that's been wrongfully imprisoned as him, or at least that's what he was doing. So I assume in the next chapter we're actually going to find out how all that went down, because I'm not quite sure how he goes from there to getting Cosette, because if he's outed as Jean Valjean, then it feels like he'd be thrown in jail right away, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. But also I found out in this chapter Cosette is currently 7. Fantine has been away for 5 years. I'd been thinking it was like 8 or like up to 10. So the timeline's kind of weird in this, because I feel like there have been places before that had talked about 5 years, but then like another year or two had passed, so I was like, wait, what? So the timeline does feel a bit wonky. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but it's been mentioned before in the book that Cosette actually is not her real name. It's something that begins with an E. I'm gonna have to look in here and see what it is again. Oh gosh, it's like Euphrasie? Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Not really.
Okay. It's Euphrasie, like Euphrasie? I'm not sure. So Cosette actually kind of has 2 names, so I'm curious when Jean Valjean gets her, if she might go by her previous name, but she might not know that's what her name was. I don't know. I'm curious to see if that's going to be brought up again, but also another difference that I'm not sure I mentioned is the Thénardiers. They seem to actually have 2 children. The second daughter has been mentioned a little bit. The one that everyone knows from like the musical and the movie and everything is Eponine, and she's pretty much an only child in those. So I'm not sure if this is like a friend's kid or if it's actually like a second daughter or something. And I don't even remember if they've said her name. It does seem like they have 2 daughters, and then Cosette makes a third. But yeah, we're kind of getting to the parts where stuff's gonna kind of like blow up. Jean Valjean's gonna be outed, Cosette's gonna be saved. So we'll see what happens in the coming chapters with that. But it definitely seems like Fantine is probably gonna pass away soon. And I know I didn't mention it before, but I actually had an orthodontist appointment on Wednesday. So on one part, I don't even know. Yeah, it's on this side. So on one part, it looks like I have even more metal in my mouth because right there, I have a spring added onto the wire. I don't really know what it does or anything like that. Apparently it's for spacing, but I'm not sure if it's keeping it the same or like trying to bring it closer. But my teeth are still a bit sore. Usually they're only sore for like the day after and then I'm fine, but like I had to eat like bread with a fork and knife just because I couldn't bite into stuff. But that's pretty much how this week's been. It's actually been quite busy for me, so I felt so tired. Like, since usually today we play D&D, I was planning on tomorrow to just be a complete rest day, like, not doing anything kind of thing, but like reading in video games and staying in bed kind of deal. But since D&D just got pushed to tomorrow, it's kind of flipping things around. It actually gives me some anxiety because like you have expectations for the day. And then when it doesn't go how you planned, it's just like, oh gosh, now I have to change everything. What do I do? So anyway, that's the end of another week. I feel like this week's reading was actually quite good for it. But as always, thank you for hanging out with me. It is greatly appreciated. And until next time, bonne journée and au revoir.